be fair, a lot of things were transactional before COVID. And it has been really interesting. The people that have left the MSP side and have gone either to the vendor side or to a consulting side or whatever, they're still like, oh, we were an MSP X number of years ago before COVID. And, the only thing I can think of as an owner right now is like, dude, things have changed like so drastically since you have left the market. You are no longer relevant in our world.
Hey, Channel Insiders. I'm your host, Katie Bavoso, and welcome back for part 2 of this Channel Insider Partner POV interview with Don Sizer, CEO of ThreatLocker. Make sure you head to channelinsider.com right now if you haven't already caught up on part 1. Today in part 2, Dawn talks about the lengths that she and ThreatLocker are going to meet new customer needs and what this says about the power of trust. Plus, Dawn name drops the vendors that she says are doing a great job listening to partner needs since the pandemic turned the industry upside down. When I initially met with you, Dawn, you said that a lot of your customers this year are asking for more consulting services over MSP services, so to speak.
Yeah.
What does that say to you? And just kind of explain that a little bit more to me and what that means for your business and the greater market kind of trends that you're seeing.
Everything in our business runs in cycles. We've all seen it over and over and over again on repeat, which is kind of funny. Like, oh, let's all go to the cloud. Nope, let's all come back. Let's go to the cloud again. So I think we've seen that for a million different things. And when we first started this business, like I said, we were a consulting group. We were consulting on certain things, blah, 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 blah. And it's coming back around to that again, which is really interesting. And we're seeing it more in the larger clients than we are in the small business kind of thing. Like they still need some consulting work, but like larger ones, they'll come back and say, hey, like we want to acquire a business. What are the things that we need to really look at in that particular thing? And then, you have that conversation when you're looking at your assets. What does that look like? So you're acting as that VCIO or VCSO, whatever you want to call it in your particular organization. So you have that level of things. We actually have other divisions opening up inside of our company, which has been really interesting this year. So we're bringing a full physical side of security, cameras, control, that kind of thing is coming online. People are coming to us for video work, which I was shocked, right?
Whoa, what does that look like?
Right? I was like, so anyway, we got into a couple of clients and they were like, hey, we have this particular event going on. How do you feel about doing, the big screens? Oh, yeah, that's no problem. We can order those in. They're like, well, how about video? What about PR? What does that look like? Because we really like working with you guys. We're like, all right. So we're bringing up a marketing group. So it's that conversation that has happened so often on repeat that we're like, obviously there's a market for this. It's going to be slow for us, but we're going to open the divisions. We're going to fulfill what the clients are asking for. And like I said, the larger clients, it's a no-brainer because the money is there, the opportunity is there. So we're going to become my consulting group again, as well as, an MSP.
That's so interesting to me because what it says just right off the bat, listening to it, is that the trust is there and they would rather stay and put their money into somebody they trust rather than going to what they could be marketed to as an established business that has been in that specific space. But if you don't know them, you don't want to work with them. So it's 100%.
And the larger the organizations are, and what we found is there's a very specific clientele that we've been working with that they have multiple businesses, they're running multiple businesses. They don't want to deal with the time, effort, and energy that it would take to find that multiple group type thing. Once they have that trusted partner, then we are all in. We're all doing this together. And this group all does business together. And all of those people keep doing business as we meet new people. It's really a weird, strange world, but it's working out very well.
It's interesting. The whole video side of it, I'm still reeling from that because obviously that's what I do on a day-to-day.
Right.
It's what we're doing right now.
I had no idea that was going to be a thing, but it's everything from, hey, we're having this big event. It's all fancy. It's like a gala thing. Will you, get somebody to film it, do blah, blah, blah. And you're like, yeah, okay, no problem.
Yeah. And then it allows you to also be able to create relations, whether you're bringing them inside or you're going outside to trusted partners as well. And that's where partnership comes down to. For me, I feel like we're changing the directions in which we're partnering. It's not just about that solution provider to vendor partnership anymore. Partnership means so much more than just that particular definition. You're going across, you're even partnering with your customers. That's what it is now too.
So it went from, to be fair, a lot of things were transactional
Mhm.
before COVID. And it has been really interesting. The people that have left the MSP side and have gone either to the vendor side or to a consulting side or whatever, they're still like, oh, we were an MSP X number of years ago before COVID. And, the only thing I can think of as an owner right now is like, dude, things have changed like so drastically since you have left the market. You are no longer relevant in our world. Like, business acumen, that's one thing, but the actual like how to do what we do has changed dramatically. Again, it was very transactional previously. Yes, we still had customer relationships and things like that, but it was, hey, we need a thing. VARs were still a big deal back before COVID, and you could still be an MSP and a VAR at the same time. It doesn't work that way anymore. People are looking for a very different relationship. It is not transactional, it is very relationship based, it is very partner driven, and there has to be a reason to stay with that partner that goes beyond, oh, well, we just provide a service for you. Well, that's great. Anybody can provide a service.
Absolutely. I mean, how do you protect your peace then in a world like that, Don? Do you have to figure out where the boundaries are drawn and how to say no? Because I worry that there could be risk of even overextending yourself as the
Oh,
CEO.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. We're in the midst of hiring a whole bunch of people right now, which is a scary proposition. I haven't had an EA for a while, so we're
Mm.
rehiring an EA. We're hiring more account managers into the organization, and it's a lot of moving parts right now. It's the first time I've had real fear for a while because it feels like everything's a little shaky going on, but it's just because it's a lot of change all at once and a lot of moving parts. So it feels like I'm constantly juggling things. Like as a business owner, you juggle things all day long. It's just kind of, what you're doing. But this is like juggling three people's worth of things all the time. And so you're looking for tools, you're looking for the right people, you're looking for different relationships that are out there even with the vendors that we've had previously. It's just a different world. And making those connections is just a little bit different, and it's a little bit deeper. It's a little bit stronger. It's a lot easier to go to market with that type of thing. So, and you're just looking for people that show up the same way that you do, quite frankly, and give the same experience that you do, because everything is coming down to experience right now. And if you're not giving a really great client experience, they're just going to go find somebody else that will.
Hmm. A really good piece of advice there, Don. I appreciate that. And moving on from there, I want to get back into the kind of the partner relationships that I was talking about earlier and how that cross partnership is really changing the way we all do business and define partnership. First of all, you mentioned being in a post-COVID world and the way that vendors are catering to you with knowledge of being an MSP. I feel that since 2019, and I go back to 2019 as the before time. So since 2019 through the pandemic into now, I have noticed MSPs are really stepping up to form communities. You yourself are inside of so many, including tech degenerates. That is a community that is completely partner driven. That is one that came to be saying, like, this is what we want. We do want to work with vendors who have advice for us, but we want to be able to say, this is what we're looking for from our viewpoint. How do you feel vendors are responding to that sort of community shift where we're seeing the MSPs go, no, we are absolutely not going to deal with some of the things that you're saying we have to. We want this. How do you feel that they're responding to that since before the pandemic? Is there a change that you've noticed? Are they catering to you better?
So it's been interesting. There's been some of the larger ones that are not changing.
Okay.
And I think they're feeling some of that. And then there's some of the larger ones. I'm going to call out Lenovo for this. They have been phenomenal, actually, from the MSP side of things. Big shout out to Joe. He has put together a really good partner program for MSPs through Lenovo, has done a phenomenal job doing it, and really wants that relationship with the MSPs to understand how it is we do business, why we're doing business with Lenovo, and how they can help us do it better. That's what we're looking for. And then the support that comes along behind that of, hey, I need XYZ. Do you have that particular thing? Some of them do, some of them don't. And if they don't, some of them will make it for you. Another one I'm going to call out is ThreatLocker. They have done a really great job with responding to some of the things that the partners have asked for. And one thing was something super simple, like how does your product fulfill the CIS controls? Can you give us a KB that actually outlines it with some statements that tell us what it's doing in those particular things? They did it. Did the same thing with Axcient. Can you do this for us? And they're like, hey, we don't have anything right now, but let me come back and get you something. And they did. It took them about, a week and a half. to do it, but it was quick partner turnaround and phenomenal. So there are some folks that are really going, I'm going to call it above, not necessarily beyond, but they're going above what the other ones are doing. And I think that's super important to recognize and also kind of focus in on. And then there are some partners that have just been phenomenal the whole way through. So INFIMA Cybersecurity, phenomenal people, truly just good humans to work with, really have a great understanding of their product. They make sure that their partners have a good understanding of the product. You need support, they're there for you. You need materials, they're there for you. And they do it proactively. So I think there's some great shout outs to be had in the vendor world. And like I said, and then there's some other folks that are just like, well, you're just going to have to put up with whatever it is we've got. Well, I'm just going to move on to somebody else, is really what it boils down to. You're not providing a partnership. You're not innovating with your product. I'm paying way too much for something that's not being innovated on. And there are other people out in the market. See ya. I'm out.
You mentioned the partners that are going above, but what would be beyond for you? Even if it's not happening right now, how would you define beyond? What does that action look like?
So I'm going to call out Blackpoint for this. One of the things that I had sat down with some of their leadership team a couple years ago and said, you know what, people aren't educating us. Our vendors aren't educating us on the business side of things, right? They actually put together something called Blackpoint University. There's how to read your financials. There's business acumen pieces in there. Now it's on the lower side, and this is really for people that really don't know business very well or struggle with certain things, but it's in there. It's put together pretty darn well. They did a good job with it. So there are vendors that are going beyond and actually teaching you how to run a business. I mean, we're all business owners. There's no reason why a vendor can't say, hey, we can teach you how to read your financials. We can teach you how to do this particular thing. Or you know what? We have this phenomenal hiring practice. Let us teach you how to do that. But they don't. Why?
Exactly. And it goes back to what you're saying, where you see the customers wanting a one-stop shop. I feel that vendors need to take a cue from that and understand how to help you run a better business. Because if you're running a better business, you're able to take on more clients and you're able to sell and manage more product for those. It's a no-brainer to me.
That's how I feel about it. Like,
explain this.
This is a self-fulfilling thing. Help your,
I love talking to you about this, Dawn, because I feel that in the industry, you're somebody who people can go to ask for advice. So in this case, if we have somebody who is maybe transferring from a break fix and finally stepping into the MSP world, or maybe they're an MSP who wants to be able to step up with their compliance regulations and what they offer in cybersecurity, just any growth pattern, what would you recommend to them to do? Is there a group they can join right away? Is there something that they can get certified for? What's a first step on their maturity journey?
I mean, 100% find a community.
Mm-hmm.
Find a community of your people. I mean, I'm going to recommend the Tech Degenerates 100%, but, and to be, I'm one of the co-founders. So I kind of going to go to that one first. But there are phenomenal communities out there of like-minded people that you can find. So first thing is find your people, right? Find your tribe. They're out there. Just little quick story. Back in, was it 2017? I think we had never even been to a conference, like in the channel, nothing. Had no idea any of this even existed. So it's only been, less than 10 years that we've been in the channel doing what it is that we're doing. But the amount of people that are out here that really, truly are cheerleading for you, want you to succeed, are way more than you think. Not everyone is your competition. It's more like co-opetition. Like, we want to be cooperative. We want to help you. If I can come alongside and I'm doing something that you don't, I am more than happy to wear your shirt for you, do that thing for you, and make sure that you succeed. There's no reason for me not to. We both win in this scenario. You keep your client, everyone walks away happy.
And some of those shirts are so comfy. So I just want to put that. Shout out to ThreatLocker for the comfiest shirts that I've ever gotten. So thank you guys. Really fantastic advice there, Dawn, and I'm so appreciative of it. I would also like to make sure that I'm doing my due diligence as a woman in this space to ask you if there are women out there who are looking at you and they're not seeing too many people that look like them, females that look like them in that CEO position, in that leadership position. What would you recommend to them to be able to keep growing so that they can be like you one day?
Don't be like me. There are better people to be like. The best thing I can tell you is the same thing I said before, right? Find a community, start there. And there are great ones out there. ASCII has its own women's group. inside of ASCII. So I think that's a really important one to find. CRN actually has Women in the Channel that's out there. That's one that you can join. I think there are some great supportive groups out there, whether they be on Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever that is. But when you're out at a conference, drop your guard a little bit and go make friends. Like just walk up to another woman and say, hey, this is me. This is who I am. This is where I'm from. What do you do? Tell me a little bit about you and make a new friend because they're going to lead you probably to other people that are going to be your friends. And then all of a sudden you have, 5 or 6 people that are like you in some fashion. You may see eye to eye, you may not. So you may need to widen that circle a little bit over and over and over again until you find the right folks. But there's been plenty of conferences that I've been to that I literally just walked up to someone and was like, hey, you look like me. So why aren't we friends? That kind of thing. And to be fair, anytime you're going to an IT conference, usually for women, we have to stand in line in the bathroom. We don't in this case. So we have like the quickest trips to the bathroom ever, which is the most ridiculous. But you've been to these conferences.
Yes.
I know you know. So you can get in, you can get out, you have some extra time. And when you're seeing other women, floating around in the same areas, talk to them. No one's going to bite. Do that first. Like I said, make some friends in the industry. And once you have that, I mean, there's plenty of people that I have, the occasional glass of wine at night with and, stuff like that. And people I can call and they're phenomenal women out there, phenomenal that have really great businesses that you can learn so much from. But we're not geared, I think, to put ourselves out there the same way that some of the other folks are. That's a learned behavior for a lot of us. I'm an extroverted introvert, if you will. So it's something you turn on and you can turn it right back off again. So it's harder to get yourself out there. It's harder to do that. So if you're struggling with that, you're not the only one by all means. Like imposter syndrome is a real thing. Don't think that it's not. Everybody is experiencing it in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, just get out there, find your people and make some friends.
And honestly, at these conferences, I want everybody to know if you see me and you're like, how do I start a conversation? Ask me what I'm wearing that I thrifted, or come up and tell me what you're wearing that you thrifted, because that you want a conversation starter. Whew, I will be so happy to tell you about my $5.99 top that somebody else wore before me.
Yes.
I'll be the first one. Dawn, this has been absolutely amazing. And before we go, I want to make sure I also ask you, when you think about success at your company, at Third Element, is there a story that you like to hang your hat on to say, like, this is what I define my company by? This is the banner moment for me.
Am I creating new jobs? Am I making my people happy? Are people advancing in their careers? I think that's the success story that you always want to tell, right? And it comes back to, we are nothing without our people. We're nothing without our clients. So it has to be that, people are happy in their jobs, they're successful in their jobs, and we're continually creating new, I say jobs, but it's really a career because we've had people that have been with us for 20 years. So it's a career for them. Like, are they successful? Can we make them successful or help them be successful? Because we're not making them. They're doing it on their own. That's them.
It just takes, a few extra ingredients and people shine. You put a little salt on something and it gets that much better.
So much better. Yeah, exactly.
I also want to make sure, shout out Third Element. How can we get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So thirdelement.com will get you there, just to make it super easy. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm pretty darn visible. And I think I'm actually the only Dawn Sizer on LinkedIn. Ooh. I think. Right? That's crazy. So again, you don't want to be me. So the podcast is Rebel Executives, if you want to hit that one. And then we have a new one launching probably before the end of the year called IT for Weed. So it'll be all about the marijuana business and IT. Yeah.
I am going to be your first subscriber for sure. I'm very excited for you. Dawn Sizer from Third Element, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thanks so much to Dawn for joining me, and thank you for watching or listening. Check out all episodes of Channel Insider Partner POV on channelinsider.com or watch on youtube.com/channelinsider_news and trends. You can also check us out as a podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow to never miss an episode. Once again, I'm your host, Katie Bavoso, and I'll see you next time.